What is going on, YouTube? Brad,
Austin, Eric,
here with Haunted Awakening, and today we are shooting another unsolved video. Our first one of Summer Wells got a lot of positive feedback. If you haven't watched that one, go check it out. And make sure you guys are liking these videos if you want to see more unsolved. And I promise we will have a more permanent setup very shortly. So today we are talking about Elisa Lam.
A young woman who was found dead inside a water tank on the roof of a downtown LA hotel. The mystery surrounding her death has only grown.
Nearly 3 weeks after Elisa Lam went missing, a body has been found in a water tank on the roof of her hotel.
So on January 26th, 2013, 21-year-old Elisa Lam checked into a room at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles, California. And this is a pretty sketchy area. It's right next to Skid Row, which is said to be one of the most dangerous places to be in the Los Angeles area. So that adds on top of it. On February 1st, Elisa Lam was reported missing by the hotel staff. The hotel staff completely checked the whole hotel, basements, places she wouldn't have even had access, and nobody could find her. And this part's weird to me. On February 19th, so what? Almost 20 days later?
Right.
Almost a month later.
That's really weird.
Yeah. They found her. So what, like, that's a big time span to just be like, we don't know where she went.
That is a long time, yeah. I mean, it's a single building, too, so they must have, searched it top to bottom. So that is very strange.
Right.
Yeah, the fact that they did a whole sweep of the building and came up with nothing.
Yeah.
That is very weird.
Unless, I mean, if they were looking in the Los Angeles area other than the hotel, that would make sense, but I didn't see anything about that.
Right. They had to have assumed that she wandered out of the building somewhere.
Right.
And she just, she was missing at this point. Nobody assumed that she was dead.
Mm-hmm.
So,
exactly.
And she's, a grown adult, and what was it? The report was from her parents, right? They hadn't heard from her. So
I believe so. Yeah.
And wasn't she just visiting the United States for the first time?
Yeah, so she was originally from Canada. So that's really far away too. I mean, that I couldn't imagine as a parent. Like, one, your child going missing in general, but two, being that far away,
right?
You gotta feel helpless at that point. Like, that's a huge across the border the country.
Well, it is. And factoring in the age, she's only 21.
Right.
So that'd be scary for any parent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she is young, but also 21, she's an adult. And I wonder if that had something to do with how the report and how the search was handled by police.
Yeah.
Because for all you know, nothing strange had necessarily happened. There was that really weird footage from the elevator, but for all the police or investigators, anybody knows, she didn't have a good relationship with her parents. Obviously, that's just an assumption, but that's maybe a mindset they had. She's like, maybe she felt so controlled at home and she just wanted some space to herself. She's not talking to her parents. Like, nothing tells us that she's dead or missing right now. She's a grown woman that her parents have not heard from in 20 days. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if that had something to do with the search.
Right. Okay, so it's February 19th, and they find Elisa Lam's body inside a closed water tank on top of the hotel. And the only reason they found this was because other guests of the hotel were complaining about low water pressure, and some guests were even complaining about black, mucky, dirty water coming out of the faucet before the clean water would come out. So the last video of her they actually have for the public to view. We'll play it now. So she just, the whole time, she has this weird, body language, I guess you could call it. The way she's moving her hands in the elevator, she looks like she's hiding from somebody. And then I watched this other video, and again, we got to start doing this, giving credit where credit is due. I don't remember the name of the YouTuber, but he talked about flight, fight, and freeze, and she did all three of those. So there's, at one point, she went into the elevator and completely froze like a statue, which he explained that's what you do as a kid when you get caught doing something you're not supposed to be doing. Like, oh.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Or
no.
frightened.
Right. And then at the other point, she's in the middle of the elevator doing that freeze thing, and then she moves to the side to hide, and then continues the freeze thing, which is flight. Like, she got scared. Like, okay, I gotta try to hide. And then she goes out of the elevator. Looks like she's confronting somebody, maybe down the hallway. And then she, at one point, looks like the person moved to the other side of her, and she, like, jumps and turns. Like, it's really weird. And that's the fight part he was describing. Like, she was confronting it finally, and then it turned. And obviously, if you're in fight mode, you're going to want to line up with that threat. She turned and lined up with it. So that was really weird. She, at one point, like, brushed all the elevator buttons. And a weird point that was brought up was her room was on the 5th floor. And when the video was released, she came into the elevator on the 10th floor. There's no video of her going up to the 10th floor. It just starts with her at the 10th floor. And from what other guests have said, other employees that used to work there, the top floors for some reason is where all the bad stuff happens, like the murders, serial killers,
Drug abuse.
Well,
exactly.
Like, excuse me, isn't it like split in half, where half of it's a hotel and half of it people like stay there long term too?
I believe so, because there was that serial killer. What's his name? I don't remember his name, but he stayed there for a year. He was there for a year, and apparently he would come in covered in blood, and nobody would say anything because they just knew this is a normal thing, I guess.
Wow.
I don't know.
Well, and one thing too with that place is California made it a law for them to take in homeless people and let them rent there. So they had half the building for renting because it was a law, and then the other half as hotel kind of side of it.
Okay,
Yep.
that makes sense then. So that top half probably was the renting half of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, okay. But a lot of people say it is weird that there's no video prior, at least for the public to see. She just starts on the 10th floor, and that's where the weird stuff is happening. And then that's kind of the end of the video. So,
do you think that drugs could be a play in this? Because judging by the elevator footage, I mean, do you think it could have been like a bad trip, or she came from Canada into this new place, probably not knowing Skid Row is a part of that,
right?
And running into those people that are doing drugs.
That is
maybe she did run into something and had a bad trip for her first time, and then was running from something that wasn't there and just in her head.
That is a really good theory, and I've heard of that too. Is there anything more of the storyline we need to talk about too before we get into theories?
That's pretty much it for the storyline. This is another video that's kind of cut and dry. Here's the facts, kind of like the Summer Wells video. But that's for the main part of it. Everything I felt like we needed to know to get into the theories. So there's 3 main theories we're going to talk about. There was a couple other ones, but the articles that I read literally said that they're not very popular. It's just kind of some things that some people put together. But I grabbed the 3 most popular ones, so we'll get into those now. Now we're getting into the theories. As you brought up a minute ago, one of the first main theory is people think she may have been on either an illegal drug or a drug for her bipolar and depression, which she did suffer from, and she did make that publicly known through her blogs, which she did, I believe, in her later years in high school. She did blogging, and she was open about it because she wanted positive feedback and help from her peers.
Yeah.
So people do believe that, but it was disproved in the toxicology report stating there was no drugs in her system other than her prescribed medicine, but they even said there wasn't as much of that medicine in her system as a regular dose as they thought there would be.
Weird.
So,
But sorry.
no, you go
So
ahead.
she's not on her medication, is what you're telling me now.
She was, but she didn't. It's almost like maybe she didn't take a full dose of it.
Okay. I wonder, bipolar disorder and depression. I'm no psychologist or doctor, but I think that when you hear about one, you almost never avoid the topic of schizophrenia. Also, I feel like they're commonly linked in some way.
Right.
Like bipolar, schizophrenic, bipolar depression, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I wonder if she ever struggled with schizophrenia, because that would be a pretty big game changer too when talking about theories about what happened.
It would be, and I guess if she's deceased, they couldn't technically diagnose her with that because obviously you can't do tests and just you can't look at someone's brain or something in an autopsy and be like, oh yeah, they had schizophrenia. To my knowledge.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that is proven through actions,
right,
and behavior.
Exactly.
Right.
And one thing too, for how long she's been in that tank too, don't you think that the body would dissolve? Or I don't know if it would work the same way, but I know some drugs take 3 days to get out of your system, some take 30 days.
That is true.
And for how long she was like not discovered for, do you think that would start to deteriorate in the body?
You would think.
So that would be a question too.
I guess when you're deceased, you're technically not metabolizing.
Yeah, your body's all done, shut down.
So you can't metabolize the rest of what's in your system?
Yeah, that's why I was kind of like...
That is an interesting
It
point.
would really help if we
thinking.
were all doctors right now.
Yeah.
Right?
We should go online and get one of those certificates.
Stay in school, kids. So when you're a ghost hunter, you can have logical conversations about toxicology.
Please don't
worry.
end up on YouTube.
I'll just go in another room, print off our certificates.
Right.
We're now
So
approved.
that makes me question too. So I think we're talking about some good theories and some good points, but we need to bring in the fact, like a really big thing, a really important fact. She was naked, right?
Yes.
So, in terms of drug use, she's on vacation. She's in Los Angeles, so it's so easy to assume that she possibly was on a drug. And taking off your clothes is commonly associated with like excited delirium from narcotics use, like LSD, acid. Your body gets really hot, and that's what causes a lot of people to actually die when they're on acid or LSD dancing in the club, because they just get so hot and they don't stop. They don't feel it. But no drugs were found in her body. So at first, when I first heard that before the toxicology report came out, I thought, okay, I wonder if maybe she was on, a drug and started to declothe herself and then ended up in the water pool somehow. But there was no drugs found in her body, and do you know where the clothes were found by chance?
I don't think they ever found them. Wow. I don't think that was never brought up again. So that was one of the weird things I marked in my head. Where's her clothes? Because nowhere in any of the articles does it say her clothes were found in the room.
Right.
It was the video of her in the hotel, and they assumed, or in the elevator, and they assumed right after that she went up to the roof. But if that were true, the clothes would either be in the elevator or on top of the roof.
And that makes me lean heavily towards foul play instead of drug use, because if she was high or hallucinating, the clothes probably wouldn't be in a normal place. They'd probably be sitting in the middle of the hallway, or on the roof, or just some random place.
Yeah.
But she's, naked and dead in that water tank, and the clothes are gone, and there's no drugs found in her body. So, do you know if there was ever a sex kit done on her? Like a rape kit?
I'm sure there was.
I don't think I've heard of it.
There would have to be, especially in this circumstance, because if they really cared, which obviously most unsolved investigators, stuff like this, they do care. You think that would have run across their minds to test for that.
Right.
But not that I read. There was no... Unless they did it, came back negative, no findings. They just decided not to mention it to the public. I don't know. It that is a good question though, because
yeah, definitely unusual because again, she's not on drugs. The clothes weren't found. That really makes me think that somebody wanted to get rid of, a critical piece of evidence.
right.
Because clothes, they, maintain or absorb fluids and just any substance very easily and very well. And even hair follicles and hair.
Right, yeah.
I'm full of dog hair right now.
Right.
It'll happen. So that makes me lean heavily towards foul play. And when you combine that with the elevator footage, it's almost like a no-brainer in my opinion.
Well, and like one thing too, I forgot, but wasn't the cap on the actual container closed too as well?
Yes.
So if that's the case, and for how low the water was when she dropped in, how was she able to close it back up?
Right.
She wouldn't be able to swim up to it or anything. So that's weird to me.
That was a weird
So
point.
that kind of leans towards what you said, foul play.
Right.
It might have been somebody that was trying to give her something that made her vulnerable, and then did that route, and then that's why the clothes aren't being found, and then that's how the top got put back on.
Right. And that really would be the only motive, because she's from out of country. Nobody knows her here, to our knowledge. Nobody has a vendetta against her. From stories people say and her social media, she was a super nice, loving person. So the only other motive would have been for sexual trauma.
Right.
Or, along that lines. So I guess that kind of sums up theory 1. We through talking, we kind of just got into theory 2. The second theory is that she was murdered. This would seem plausible as guests as well as employees, like we said before, said the top floors that she was on was a more sketchy area, you could say. And they said a lot in a lot of the reports I read that it was weird that she was up on those 10th floors. But according to the autopsy, like Eric just said, there was no signs of trauma or struggle or anything sexual to that nature. So they kind of threw that out the window.
What Google also just said that I didn't think anything of this, but it said they found her watch was on her and her room key. How was her room key on her if she was naked? Was it in the water?
So when you guys are talking about the clothes, I was thinking back to when I seen the documentary. I think that they had all of her clothes that were in the room. I don't know if she got naked in her room or whatever and went out, but they had everything bagged up and put in a storage unit for people that don't show up, and they have 30 days to reclaim it, and if they don't come back, then they do whatever with it.
Oh, so yeah.
And they also do that for the police officers too. If somebody comes up missing, then they have all their belongings to go out and do their stuff. So
right.
Maybe the key was in her pocket. That was in the bag.
Yeah, it said it was found like with her body though. It doesn't make any sense.
Huh.
If she had left her room naked, I would say drug use, but
Yeah.
I feel like they would have brought that up though, because she would have had to. We would have seen the elevator footage. She would have then had to go back to her room and then back in the elevator, naked, and then up to the top floors. So I don't know.
Well, one thing too is you would think too, going back to the family, that they would mention if she had schizophrenia or not during the investigation.
Right.
Like we've seen her do something similar back at home. There is past history.
Right.
But
that is true.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she was obviously aware of her personal health. If she was getting medication for depression and bipolar, you would think at that point they would do whatever tests. Not necessarily like in-depth tests, but I know they sit down and they ask people questions. I don't know. See,
it's a crazy...
It is. It's
unsolved case.
It is.
Like this hit nationwide.
Yeah, I mean that's why they made a documentary about it so fast. I mean, Netflix original too, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
it's pretty big
literally
deal.
all over the world, everybody got together to try to
That's
solve this.
a pretty big deal. I mean, Netflix makes like huge movies, huge documentaries. It'd be awesome if we could get a documentary or like a TV show on Netflix. But yeah,
Just a thought.
wow, just
So, yeah, those are the first two theories. They both are technically disproved, not valid, because of evidence they gathered. Now, this third theory is right up our alley, and it is actually one of the most popular theories, but I saved it for last. The next theory is that whatever happened to Elisa Lam that night is supernatural. Given the fact that there were no drugs in her system, there was no sign of struggle or murder, and people also are backing this with the history of the Cecil Hotel. I mean, this was housed serial killers. I cannot remember the name. I think it's Richard something.
Richard Simmons? No.
No. I think it's Eric. If you could look it up, that would be awesome.
yeah.
He was
I
a
thought it was
serial.
like Billy something.
Well, I don't know. I just know he was a serial killer that stayed there from like 1984 to 1985, and that's the guy we were talking about earlier. He would come covered in blood, and they just
Richard Ramirez.
Richard Ramirez.
The night creeper, or isn't that what he was?
The
Yes.
Night Stalker.
The Night
Yes, the Night
Stalker.
Stalker,
He
yes.
stayed there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, dude. He's the original person that would do rituals and stuff too.
Yes.
Up in the.
Exactly.
Yep.
He was a satanic ritualist, a satanic worshiper. So they think there's obviously some negative energy there. This was the last place that the Black Dahlia was seen alive, getting into the car, and just countless murders. I was looking at an interview from the documentary, I believe it was, and one of the employees, I believe, said she had always been asked this question: is there a room we can stay in that somebody was not murdered in? It was just that horrific.
Imagine going to a hotel and having to ask that question.
Right. Like you're on vacation,
Like, should I just
trying to
pitch a tent outside?
Or it might as
Like,
well. You get the same results.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
So,
Man.
given the history of the hotel itself, the Cecil Hotel, it's haunted. It's one of the most haunted places.
Yeah.
Ghost Adventures has been there.
There's been hundreds of deaths there. Suicides, overdoses.
I am all for the paranormal aspect. I feel like we all are a little bit. But I do just have this vibe that foul play was what happened.
Now that you mentioned paranormal stuff, excuse me, if she is depressed, she's sad, negative energy, she's a lot more vulnerable to that kind of stuff.
That is true.
And this is where the comment section is gonna start to like, what's the word? Butt heads a little bit. So we're
Yeah.
a paranormal investigation group. If you're a fan of like podcasts or just like true crime stories, but you don't believe in ghosts, this is gonna be a hard like channel to watch. But like
Yeah.
this is a new kind of segment, new series for us. But if you're into both, then that's perfect. But yeah, that definitely opens a new door, a new theory that I don't think someone else might have talked about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Well, and it's good to
Definitely.
have an open mind too.
it really is.
have an open mind.
Have it open in mind.
Right.
Have an open mind.
Weird stuff happens, like the lights over Dallas, and all. I mean, there might be something.
I looked that up. It was Phoenix.
It was Phoenix.
I told you it was Dallas. Looked it up today. Phoenix lights.
So you lied to me. I wish you had a
Jesus.
mic on right here. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Make sure you put your theory in the comment section. And again,
Please.
we're still new to doing stuff like this. We did get a lot of hate on the Summer Wells thing because some of you guys are very, very loyal to your theories. We're just talking about a couple of theories that we have heard about and theories that have come to our mind and expressing our opinions. We want to hear your opinions. If you could tell them to us in a polite manner, that would be greatly appreciated.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Don't kill the messenger. We're just reading the story.
Yeah, we're pretty much just reading it. We didn't kill her, so.
You know what? One thing that's grinding my gears about this
What?
is the lack of cameras in the hotel.
Oh my God.
I was like, that would definitely solve a lot of questions that we have because we got just the elevator footage and the front end.
Right.
We don't have any of the floors, nothing. So we
No
don't know what
cameras.
Yeah.
The unruly criminal code in that hotel.
Yeah.
The societal standard of everyone here is a bad person. We're all criminals. We don't think anything of it. Think about how frustrating that is for the families of the victims of the Night Stalker.
Oh my God.
Thinking of a dude just walking into the hotel, covered in blood. Nobody says anything. He could have stopped several murders that happened after that point. It had you just said something.
Yeah,
Right.
it's kind of like the norm there.
I know, it's horrible.
Yeah.
So
What were you gonna say?
I don't remember.
TikTok.
Peanut brain.
I'm leaning towards foul play of some sort because the way she looked like she was talking to somebody down that hallway in the video, but that doesn't really explain like how they were in front of her and she kind of like jumped and turned like they were over here unless a buddy, came around the corner. I don't know.
Yeah, but like in the video too, you don't see nobody like run by, or you don't see any footsteps. You don't see
Right.
like any shadows of somebody being there, from the angle.
Yeah.
So
The shadows is weird because that's not something you can really help try to mask. But I do feel like if these people in these upper floors are sketchy people, they know there's cameras in that elevator. They're staying away from it if they're trying to coax her to come to them. But like you said, the shadows. I mean, that's not something I would put into play if I was like, all right, if anyone's ever up here on this floor and we're gonna kidnap them, we'll make sure there's no shadows on the floor.
Yeah.
Unless they're super smart that way. That's not something I would ever play through a scenario. If I was planning on kidnapping someone, I would never do that ever. If Eric goes missing in the next week, it's not on me. But there's so many little things like that, and there's a lot of sick people that are smart that way that do play out things like that you don't know.
well, and that place did house multiple serial killers.
Yeah. Very true.
But
I think that the moral of the story is just don't stay at the Cecil Hotel.
Yeah, don't
Stay on Main. When they say stay, they mean stay.
Yeah.
So,
and
Yeah.
if you guys are looking for a hotel, make sure you guys read the reviews. That's probably why they got into these situations, because they didn't read no reviews, and it probably was a 1-star, and they got there and it turned out to be
screw it, it's cheap.
a crap show.
treat
Yeah.
Yes.
yourself. Get the 5-star hotels.
Get the
I
5-star
can't
hotel.
actually,
You guys go on vacation.
5-star
go out.
hotel in Los Angeles is probably like $2,000 a night.
Probably.
Oh.
Probably.
Gosh, forget that.
Yeah.
With a kiddie pool in the back.
How many days was she checked in before she?
She
went
checked
missing?
in.
First, right, or 6?
Let's see.
Like how many days was she alive there?
26.
She
of
checked in
January.
on January 26th. On February 1st, she was declared missing.
Okay. Okay.
So,
she
just a
had,
few days.
Oh, okay. I was
Oh, about a
wondering
week?
that.
Is that about a week?
About a week.
And I mean, it says the hotel staff searched looking for her. The whole hotel staff is probably so fed up, and they probably get so many reports of this and that with what's going on in that hotel. That
Yeah.
Well,
how
they-
much do you think they really searched?
Well,
And that's
yeah.
not to discredit them, but
Well, the police also said too that they would go to like 3 calls a day to just the Cecil Hotel.
yeah,
Like
Yeah.
multiple calls a day every day.
yeah.
So that just shows you what is going on there. So,
Right.
but let us know what you guys think.
Yeah, drop a comment. What do you think happened to Elisa Lam?
What happened?
What happened?
If you have your own theory, sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
If
Go
you have
ahead.
your own theory, go ahead.
Okay.
If you-
go ahead.
If you have your own theory, drop it in the comments down below. Let us know other theories out there. We're open-minded people. We love listening to your guys' theories. If you agree with a theory we discussed tonight, let us know in the comments.
Absolutely. It is
Do it.
almost the end of January. Next month is February. That's not to demean your intelligence, but the month after that is March. March is usually the start of spring for us here in Minnesota. So we're that much closer to getting back into the groove of ghost hunting. Just bear with us, support us through this, and we really hope you enjoy this and we can find a new crowd.
Yes.
Yeah, without further ado, leave your theories, please, and thank you.
Do it. We appreciate you guys.